Alright, hello everybody and welcome to the stream. How's it going? How you doing? So, we are back with the face cam, or like with the face tracking, and today we're doing something new, okay? We are going to learn Blender, and you know, what better way to learn Blender than with the Blender guru himself and following the Doughnut tutorial. I feel like this tutorial is like part of like every Blender person's life ever, so we have to do it. We have to. And there are a lot of things that are different in Blender compared to like 3ds Max and Maya. Like literally every software is different, so like the knowledge doesn't really transfer that well. So yeah, today we're going to be going through this entire tutorial. As you can see by the timestamp, it is almost 5 hours long. So, you know, we're gonna try our best to get through like as much as possible. But we'll see. So this is like the entire course, start to finish. Like you like model it, then you color it, and the lighting and whatever, and then you like, yeah, like everything. So yeah, it is time to lock in. So yeah, let's just get started.
This is Blender, open source 3D software
Holy
that can
shit,
be
guys.
used to make animations, visual effects, game assets, or practically anything 3D. And best of all, it's 100% free and it always will be.
Let's
If
go.
you've never used it before but you want to learn it, well, then you're in the right place. This is starters, this view, this window right here, is your 3D viewport, and it's where you'll spend probably 90% of your time because it is the 3D world. So you can see that we have 3 objects here. We've got a camera, we've got a cube, and we've got a lamp. And when we click on it, you can see it's selected because it has the yellow outline. So let's delete the default cube, of course, and replace it with something else. So we could do that by...
Okay. So like, I'm not gonna skip like almost, like, I don't think I'm gonna skip like anything that he does, even though it's like the most basic shit, like especially at the beginning. Like, I'm gonna treat this as a 100% like I don't know what I'm doing. Alright, so we're gonna go through everything, and yeah. I don't exactly know how to give commentary during a tutorial. So, you know, we're gonna try our best. Trial by fire.
By going up to the add menu up here, or by remembering the hotkey, which is Shift A. So Shift A for add. So usually the one you're looking for...
Oh shit, okay. Completely different hotkeys. This is why I have a notebook. I'm literally, whenever I learn a new software, I literally write down every single hotkey that I learn, because if not, I will genuinely forget them. And I still do forget them, but then I can refer to my notes. Because I'm like, I know the hotkey exists, I just don't remember what it is. And if I write it down, then we're good. What did he say? Shift A. Shift plus A is the add menu. I'm writing this down on paper, so you're not gonna like see me writing it, but like I'm writing it. Okay. First hotkey, and we're only like 30 seconds in. let's go.
or is underneath mesh. So these are called your primitives, and it's what you use to start something when you're looking to make an object. Like if you're going to make a chair,
So I did watch
you
through
might
this
start
part
with a
already,
very
and he like
thin
grabs the monkey,
Well,
so...
fun fact, every 3D software has its own little random complex object because it's useful to test things like shaders or complexities of scenes. So 3ds Max has the Utah teapot, Houdini has the toy, and I think Pig's head. Blender has the monkey, and it's actually called the Suzanne monkey head, which you can see in the top left there, named after the orangutan from the film Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back. Random piece of
Interesting.
trivia. So let's get a better look at it. And to that,
Okay. So we got Shift A, mesh, monkey. Perfect.
that we need to orbit, which you can do by on your mouse there, your scroll wheel. That is called your middle mouse button. If you push that in and then drag around, that is now orbiting. Now, for my laptop users, you've just panicked because you realize you don't have a mouse. How are you going to orbit around? First of all, probably a good idea to get a mouse for up here in the top right hand corner. That will do the exact same thing. Or if you want, you can go to Edit Preferences, and then underneath Input, there's Emulate 3-button mouse. And that means that if you hold down Alt and then left click drag, that will do the exact same thing. Also, whilst you are in User Preferences, you might want to go to Interface, and you've got Resolution Scale. If you're on a 4K monitor, you might find that your
My
menus
stuff
and
is
buttons
okay.
are really small, and you kind of have to like squint in to see it. So personally, I like to keep my 4K monitor around about 1.5, but since this is a tutorial, I'll make it nice and big so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so that's orbiting around with the middle mouse button. If we want to zoom in, we can do that just by scrolling in and out. We could also do it by going up to the magnifying glass tool there, and then just left click dragging and then moving
Is this
the
song
mouse
muted?
back and forth. That does the same thing. Or you could hold down Control and then middle mouse button, and that will do a smooth zoom as well. Okay.
Control middle mouse for smooth zooming. Oops. Honestly, that's nice because I don't think 3DS has a smooth zoom. I don't know. It's been a while since I used it, so...
So one thing you might notice looking at this is that it's not very pretty, right? It's just kind of got this flat, bland, gray lighting over everything. And that's because this state right now is called viewport shading. And it's kind of a lightweight, optimized way to view the scene, just as you're building it. But if you want to create a final pretty image, that's called rendering. And you can actually switch into rendered mode by going up here into the top right-hand corner. You can see we're currently in the viewport shading mode. If we go 2 across, you should see rendered view mode. So if we click that, your computer might stall for a quick second whilst it loads it in, but you can see it's now different. We have directional light. We have shadow cast across the monkey. So it's now currently being lit by this lamp up here. So if I wanted to, zoom in on that lamp there and just kind of like move it around, you can see it's kind of hard to focus on. Like,
yeah,
it's
mine froze.
exactly not in the right view.
Okay, there we go.
Because we are centered on our monkey right now, we need to change the focus. We need to pan to something else. So we could do that one of 2 ways. One, if you're on a laptop, you could use the little move tool there. That will do that. Or everyone else, shift middle mouse click, drag, that will do the same thing. So middle mouse is for orbiting, shift middle mouse is for pan to change your view to something else. Okay, so I want to move my
Another way to move around. Oh god, I'm so used to pressing Alt middle mouse. This is going to be a problem. Wait. Okay, so it's just middle mouse to move around. Shift, middle mouse, and then you zoom in with Control or the scroll wheel itself. Okay, I'm just getting used to moving around because that's pretty important, you know? So we're looking around, you know, I don't know why, but the just middle mouse is, like, to look around like that is really throwing me off. Yeah, I'm really used to holding Alt middle mouse to like look around. Oh god. So my question is, do we orbit, like what point are we orbiting around? Is it like the camera itself? No. Because in 3DS, like when you click to orbit around, you orbit around the space that you clicked on. Which is not what's happening here. But I feel like this makes more sense, because sometimes I just want to look around, and I would just click anywhere in 3DS, and it would use the space that I clicked super far away as my orbit point, and it would just throw me into the void. Which is, not great, so.
My light because it's too moody. I want to be able to see the monkey's face there. So to move an object, you could do it one of two ways. One, you could go over to the left-hand corner here and you've got the move tool. When you click that, you can see that the selected object, the lamp, has this this gizmo, it's called, with these axes on it. And if I just clicked and dragged on any of those arrows there, you can see I can move it along any of those axes. I could also just click on that white circle there, and that will just freehand drag it depending on my view. But it's kind of tedious. Every time you want to move something, you have to like go to that tool and then find the arrows. And
Condensation.
Most people
I just spilled
prefer to use the hotkeys.
condensation on
So
my
just
desk
keep it in
mat.
the default selection state here, and instead remember the hotkey, which is G for grab. Now, I've just tapped the key, and you'll notice as I move my cursor that it's now attached to my cursor. It's not my cursor is.
Wait, you lost me.
So we just find the arrows and yada yada. So actually, most people in Blender prefer to use the hotkeys. So we just keep it in the default selection state here, and instead remember the hotkey, which is G for grab. Now, I've just tapped the key, and you'll notice as I move my cursor that it's now attached to my cursor. It's
Okay, so
not,
whatever
because it
is
isn't even
selected.
actually close to it. In fact, my cursor could be on the other side of the screen, and I could tap G, and it will move it. And at first, this is kind of awkward. You're like, why is it working this way? But once you get used to it, you realize it's actually handy because you don't have to spend all this time like navigating your cursor to something just so that you can move it. Your cursor could be over here, and then just tap it, and you're moving it. So whilst you're in this move state, if you want to cancel a movement, you could do it one of two ways. You could just hit escape, or you could right click. Then if you want to confirm a movement, like say I want to move my lamp here and I like the movement, I could just do a single left click. So
Okay. So let me write that down. Right click to cancel. Left click to confirm. Okay.
So again, if I want to cancel something, just right click. If I want to confirm the movement, left click. But let's say I wanted to move it along an axis, like, you know, I like these arrows here and I want to be able to move it on just a specific axis. Well, I can do that whilst I'm in that grab state as well. So after I have hit the G key to grab it, I can then tap the letter of the axis that I want to move it on. So if you don't know, in the real world and in the 3D software, there are 3 axes because there's 3 dimensions. There's the X axis, which I can move by hitting the X key. The
Okay.
Y axis.
Now I see how this is useful. I was like,
Or the Z axis to move it up and down on the Z axis.
Okay. Wait, is it tap or is it press and hold?
Key, the Y axis to move it back and forth along the Y axis with the Y key, or the Z axis to move it up and down on the Z axis. So you can
I don't know if he's pressing or holding. We'll figure it out later. But let's write this down. X, Y, Z, to move along those axis, whatever. Two, one, take off. Okay, lock in.
Those letters, the X, Y, and Z. Or the method that I actually prefer to use is whilst you're in that G state, if you just hold down the middle mouse button and then pull out, you can see you get this like gray line that pulls out from the center. And then if you just drag out and
Okay, I'm in love. Write that down, write that down. Hold middle mouse for snapping axis for axis snapping. I'll call it that, for axis snapping. Does snapping have two P's?
around, it will snap it to the nearest axes, which again is maybe an
Yes.
odd way to work, but it's actually
Good to know.
really handy because it means you don't have to think of the letter and locate it on your keyboard. I can just tap G to move it and then middle mouse drag out and then just find that exact axis that I'm looking for. And so it's very fast to just quickly move the lamp exactly where I want it. By the way, if you're finding it hard to remember
that's gonna
all of
be-
the keyboard shortcuts that I've mentioned,
that's
I've actually put together
so
a
hot.
PDF, a cheat sheet of Blender's
Oh
most common
my
hotkeys.
goodness.
And you can download that by
Oh
clicking the
my
link in the
days.
description, so you could print it out or you could just have it on a separate monitor while you work. Also,
Honestly,
if you're
I'd
looking
rather
for
write
a
it
3D
down.
software package, you might notice that Blender's hotkeys are different than what you are used to. So if you actually go to preferences, just for those people
You
that are from
gotta
other
be
softwares,
fisting
if you change the
me.
key map to industry compatible, you'll find that these shortcuts are probably more in line with what you remember from other software.
Oh.
Is just for the industry.
Pause. I'd rather just learn the Blender ones.
That somebody else put together. I've got nothing to do with it, but I'll put that link there so you can check it out as well. For the rest of this tutorial series, I'm going to use Blender's hotkeys. Just keep that in mind. Now let's say, as I am moving around here, I'm like, oh, this looks really good. I've got some nice Rembrandt lighting across the monkey's face. I want to take a photo. I want to take a nice, pretty image of this.
Take a
and post it on
picture.
socials for clout, right? Well, I could take a screenshot of it, but that would be silly because it's got all these lines all over. It's all noisy, right? We don't like it. The way you take a photo, a pretty image in Blender, is to do a render. So you could do that one of two ways: by going up to render and hitting render image, or remembering the hotkey which says next to it F12. So when you do that, a little window will pop up. It will
Pause. F12 render window.
use your CPU or GPU, depending on which renderer you've got active, and it will render out a pretty image. And from here, you could go image and then save as, and it'll save it as a PNG or whatever, wherever you want to save it. But you might notice looking at this that this is actually a different view than what we have here.
Oh, it's the
right? So
camera
here I've got
view.
a nice view of the monkey's face, but there is a different view. And the reason for that is when you do a render, it's not rendering from the view that you're looking at currently. It's always going to render from the point of view of the camera. So this is our camera over here, and it's looking from this angle. And we can actually look through the camera by just clicking the little camera icon there, or by remembering the hotkey, which is number pad 0. So how do we move the camera? Well, Blender's
Number pad 0. I don't have a number pad. Yeah, that doesn't work for me. Book. No. How dare you? No. I literally spent so much time trying to choose a keyboard. And I was like, okay, I need a 100% keyboard, right? And all my friends were like, the number pads are barely used. No, but the Blender uses them. That's pretty disheartening, I won't lie, because I was very happy with my decision. I love my keyboard. I don't want to buy another one. There's got to be an alternate, right?
Is a little awkward, maybe a little different to other software packages, but you're supposed to like hit G to move it, and then like middle mouse to zoom in and out, and then if you want to like move it along an axis, I guess G and then X. You could do that, but actually what a lot of users prefer, especially those from other software packages, is if you've got your camera selected, which by the way I haven't mentioned this, but up here this is your outliner. It's kind of
Go back.
By just clicking the little camera from this angle, and we can actually look through the camera by just clicking the little camera icon there, or by remembering the hotkey, which is...
I missed that. I'm just gonna press the little button, guys. I'm just gonna do a little drawing of it. Little drawing of the camera. It's like crazy. Just like I can. Nobody doesn't care about me. It's okay. Let's go crazy until the sun
is 0. So how do we move the camera? Well, Blender's a little awkward, maybe a little different to other software packages, but you're supposed to like hit G to move it, and then like middle mouse to zoom in and out, and then if you want to like move it along an axis, I guess G and then X. You could do that, but actually what a lot of users prefer, especially those from other software packages, is if you've got your camera selected, which by the way I haven't mentioned this, but up here this is your outliner. It's kind of an inventory of every item that you've got in your scene. Okay, so with the camera there selected, if I hit N, N is to bring up the properties, N for properties for whatever reason, and then go to view, there's a little box there that just says lock to camera to view. So now with that active, if I just use the same keyboard shortcuts as before, middle mouse button to orbit around.
Was it N?
N is to bring up the properties, N for properties for whatever reason, and then go.
Okay, so N properties. When selected in scene collection. Okay.
Go to view, there's a little box there that just says lock to camera to.
Okay, we should do that, I won't lie. N. Camera to view. There seems to be more options here. The tutorial I'm following is for Blender 4.0, and we're at this point on Blender 4.5, so there will be some differences here and there, but I'm hoping that I can easily solve them while following through.
View. So
oh, I wasn't paying attention. It was exactly the same. Wait. Oh, no, wait. There's no rotation option.
Now, with that active, if
That's
I
what I was
just
talking
use the
about.
same keyboard shortcuts as before, middle mouse button to orbit around, shift middle mouse to drag it, you can see that the camera is moving with it. So essentially the view, I can set it up exactly as I want, then hit N again, and then I can disable that. And then now as I pull out, you can see that the camera will stay exactly where it was, and I could do a lovely, pretty render. But this is too simple. If we post this on the internet, people are bound to make fun of us. Imagine that. Well, we could give it some color, right? So, with our monkey head selected, we can go over to here to the properties. So this properties section is where you might spend the other, I don't know, another 8 5 to 8%. I don't know, getting too exact there. You might spend another 5% of your time in this section, but it's where all of the properties for things are in Blender. So for example, you've got like the render properties, like the size of the image that you're saving something as is defined there. And some of these properties will stay here no matter what is selected, but others are selection dependent.
Wait,
So
he clicked on some
image
things.
that you're saving something as is defined there. And some of these properties will stay here no matter what is selected, but others are selection dependent. So you can see actually if I click the camera there, you can see I get a little camera tab at the bottom there. But if I select my monkey, you'll see the camera tab disappears, but instead I have some other ones that appear. So one that we might want to change is underneath material, and this will enable us to add a material, change the color to something else.
I like how he just faded back in.
Here where it's got new, I'm just going to hit new, and then you've got a bunch of options.
Okay. I think I missed something.
Key, you'll see the camera tab disappears, but instead I have some other ones that appear. So one that we might want to change is underneath material, and this
New. I seem to be asking too much of my computer. Oh my god. Wait, let me check my... Not that. Okay. I just wanted to check that. I'm on an elevator. Wait, I never checked that if I was actually streaming or not. I didn't get a notification and it's stressing me out. Okay, we're good, we're good, we're good. Okay, that was bothering me for a second. Okay, then we can just play with shit, whatever. Elevator.
This will enable us to add a material, change the color to something else, essentially. So underneath here, where it's got new, I'm just going to hit new. And then you've got a bunch of options, very Ooh, IOR, subsurface. Again, don't worry. To all of that later on.
He's
the one
funny.
that defines the color is the base color. So if I do a single left click on that white box there, I can then change this color to whatever I want. I could make it an odd, creepy, skin-toned monkey head, right? Like that. And do a render. Okay, so hey, all right, it's better, but still it's too simple. I think people will think we haven't put enough effort into this masterpiece. So let's add another object.
It's interesting that he starts off with the rendering.
So if we want to add another object, how do we do it?
But I guess
Go
it's...
to the add menu, like I mentioned before, or the hotkey Shift A. So what sort of hat do we want to add? We could do a boxy hat. Let's do a party hat with a cone. So once we've added...
Shift A... Cone. And then I can do G, right? And then I can hold middle mouse, right? Uh-huh, uh-huh. Oh, what was it? Yeah... Left click to confirm. How do I move around? Fuck. Okay, I'm gonna hate myself for a while, but aside from that, he's got a hat. Let's make it a different color because we're kind of having a Laura. Oh, wait, was it Laura? You know, from Cat's Eye. The sweater. If you know, you know.
Out of that object, you can see it's just plopped it straight in the center, intersecting our monkey. So we need to move it. We can move it, and we could grab it with the G key. So it's now moving it just on our cursor there. I don't want to move it just freehand though, because I like the position, but I just want to move it up. So I'm going to hit Z to move it along the Z axis. Right, I like it there. So once I like the placement, I'm just going to do a single left click. Okay, great. But too big. See, let's learn another tool, which is scale. So we could go to the scale tool there, and then we get this familiar little axes there. But again, most people prefer to remember the hotkey, which for scale is just S. So S to scale. So resizing that. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's move it down again. So G and Z. Okay. All right, but yeah, let's
Write that down. Write that down.
Okay, so we could scale it
S
along
scale.
just the Z axis. So S and then Z. Whoops. S, Z. There we go. And it's now making
Ooh.
a tall party hat. Scale it down.
Hot. Write that down. Write that down. Scale. And then I can do plus X, Y, Z to squash or stretch. Yes.
There we go. Ha! Look at that. Be a very bland party if it's grey though. So let's give it another material. An exciting color. A vibrant aqua color. Why not? Give that a render by hitting F12. Okay. Camera is in the wrong position, so let's go to camera view mode with number pad 0. I'm going to select my camera, and rather than dabbling with that little thing I had before, I'm going to hit G and then middle mouse, just tap it once. As I said, it's a little awkward. Blender's the way it handles with the camera, but anyway, just move that out, and then I got to rotate it. All right, so I'm going to rotate. So with the camera selected, tap R, then middle mouse, and it's now kind of like freehand rotating around. So I'll just move it up slightly. There we go. Okay, this is just a fool around session, so don't worry if you're making mistakes. We'll get to actual practical building stuff in the next part. I'm just trying to find ways to throw in these like fundamental tools. Rotate, right? The monkey's head is just, he needs to look dead on at the camera, and currently he's off. What an excuse to use the rotate tool. So you could enable the rotate tool, right? The familiar axes there. You could click and rotate it around like that. Again, most people prefer to remember the hotkey, which is R to rotate. Right, so it's now just freehand rotating on my cursor. Remember the axes, as I mentioned before, can be used for any mode. So the X axis will rotate it back and forth. The Y axis, tilt it, or Z. There we go, to turn it towards the camera. Just a little bit, right? And there you go, F12, and we've done it. Let's save it.
I'm taking notes. That's why I'm quiet.
And then just wait for the recruiters, essentially. All right, let's start a new scene so that we can get ready for part 2, where we're going to actually start building our donut and learn more core features of Blender. Now we know how Blender functions, let's start building that donut. So, as before, let's, well, first of all, just to repeat, make sure you are working with a new scene. Completely new scene, don't want any remaining monkey heads lying around. Let's begin fresh slate, and let's delete our default cube just with the delete key.
Fine, I'll start a new scene for you. Don't save. Goodbye. I think I left it on my desktop, though. I would like to delete the file. Goodbye. What is this? Ah.
And let's replace it with a new object. You might remember the hotkey for that is Shift A. And as I mentioned before, you usually want what is underneath mesh because these are your primitives.
Yes.
So we want to start with something that most resembles what it is we're building. You know, if it was a house, you might start with a cube. If it was a vase, you might start with a cylinder. In our case, we want...
Oh my god, we get to use the donut shape!
So let's add that. Now if I zoom in,
Crazy not using a square or a cylinder. Shift A. Oh. Taurus.
by scrolling up, we can see we have something resembling a
Can I make
donut.
my
Looks like a
captions
pretty
a little
weak looking
larger?
donut, you know, very flimsy. Looks like the donut before it's cooked when they just drop it into the vat and it's just this little wispy thing. So immediately after you do some actions in Blender, you have options to change it. And the options are hidden down here in the bottom left-hand corner. You see a little box, and if you click that box, you see options. And look, we can
Wait, you lost me.
left-hand corner, you see a little box.
Oh,
And if you click
okay.
that box, you see options. And look, we can change the dimension.
Noises. Donna. Oh yeah. Oh, I keep pressing Alt middle mouse. No. Shift middle mouse. No, it's just middle mouse. Oh god. How can I would like to specifically rotate around my object. How does one do that? What exactly am I rotating around? I don't fully understand how this works. But it kind of makes sense. I think like it makes more sense than the 3ds Max looking around. It's just that I've gotten used to the 3ds Max looking around and now I want that and I don't have it. But such is the life of a 3D modeler.
Dimensions of our torus. Now something to note is that these options in Blender only appear immediately after you have done that action. If you do another action, like say deselect your torus by mistake, it's gone, right? Because Blender has assumed you have moved on. You've accepted the state of your donut and this is the one you want, right? Now, if you haven't done anything drastic or changed this object in some severe way, you can temporarily bring it back by hitting F9. I never actually remember that hotkey. I just remember that immediately after I have added an object.
No, that's kind of important to me. F9. What should I call this base object? Properties. Property editor. I'll call it that.
If I want to tweak it, now's my chance before I move on to something else. Okay, so we could change, you know, the size of it here. We can also change the resolution. I'll use the term resolution loosely.
Okay.
To make it higher or lower fidelity. And a mistake that a lot of beginners make, and I say this because this was the exact mistake I made way back in 2003 when I started learning Blender, is they go, well, I need a realistic looking donut, so I guess I need to go really high resolution. I remember my first project, one of my first projects was for a high school film project, and I wanted to have a close-up of a face. Didn't realize faces were going to be difficult, but I went
Oh my
really
god.
high poly, and then it was just an absolute nightmare to work with. So the problem, the reason you don't want this is that, for starters, things that are high poly are very slow to render, and they're very hard to work with if you want to tweak the shape of it. But also, as you learn and you grow with 3D, you'll
Oops, I
discover
touched
that
my
it is
mic. Sorry.
a lot easier to add resolution to something later on, but it is very difficult to take it away if you've already built it into it and you don't need it.
I would like to make my captions larger. It's bothering me. Why is it at 50%? Ah. Okay, 75% is good enough.
So, long way to say, what we actually want is to have as few polys, these are called polys, as you can get away with. So I'm going to go with 32 major and 12 minor. And don't worry that it looks all jagged, because we will fix that in a moment.
24 question mark? Where the hell did I get 24 from?
Now, the major and minor, this is really up to you, but I find that something that looks it's kind of chunky, like a fat donut, just looks really delicious. So I'm going with something around about this size. Okay? And once I'm happy with this, once I'm ready to click off, I click off, the options are gone, and this is it. This is the donut that I am now working with. So how do we make this look higher resolution, less jagged? Well, one way is to use smooth shading. So if you right click with your object selected, go to Shade Smooth. And look at that, this is...
And my computer explodes. I don't understand what is the problem. Oh. Up above the world so high, I'll be the shining day and night. They wonder how my spotlight is so bright. Counting stars, appear, 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 Okay.
Immediately better. Without getting too technical, this is kind of a fakery. It's sort of like the shader is telling the renderer that this is a really high poly dense mesh when it really isn't. It's just basically kind of like averaging out faces, and anyway, it's very technical, but basically means it's not going to add anything to your render time, but it's going to look smoother. And so this is generally what you want for something that is smooth,
It's funny.
organic looking.
Him trying to like keep it simple. He's like, oh, I almost started talking about vertices, can't do that yet.
Counter, then the object would obviously want to be flat. But in our case, we're just going to use Shade Smooth. But you might notice that looking at this, especially if you go side on, that you've got this sort of jagged shape around here, right? So the silhouette is
how do you do that?
That illusion that this is a high poly or a smooth looking donut. But thankfully, rather than adding all of that complex density into the mesh itself and then making it hard to remove later on, there's another way through modifiers. So if we go over here to our properties, right, this very confusing, lots of option looking properties, click on the wrench, and this is the section called modifiers. And this is one of those object dependent things. So if you've got your camera selected, you won't see it. So it's only when you've got actual meshes that you might see this modifier here. So it's much easier to explain if we just add one. So up here, add modifier, and you've got a range of options here that can do a whole number of things. The one that we're looking for is underneath generate, and it is called subdivision surface. And it is a really common modifier that you use all the time. In fact, it's so common, it's actually, you can just immediately add it to any object just by hitting Control 1. But don't do that.
Write that down. Write that down. Is this basically like the Turbo Smooth of Blender? What did he say? Control 1. Control 1. Subdivision. What is it called? Subdivision surface. I'm just gonna call it what it is, because mixing up names like that is cause for confusion later. We can't be having that. Like, I'm the type of person that, like, I never customize my controls or anything like that, because, like, the second that I move around a lot, so, like, if I end up, like, using a different computer, and I don't have my controls and suddenly I'm unable to use the software, like, that is like a no for me, right? Like, I'm not gonna sit there and configure all my keybinds again, right? Like, I'll just use the base stuff and just get used to it and just deal with that like that, because I don't care enough. Yeah. It's because, like, I can't, like, I don't like being one of those people that I'm like, I can't use this until it is set up in this very specific way, you know what I mean? Like, just open it and use it and just move on. That's how I feel about it, like, for myself.
Is underneath generate, and it is called subdivision surface, and it is a really common modifier that you use all the time. In fact, it's so common, it's actually, you can just immediately add it to any object just by hitting Control 1. But don't do that because we've already got it. So
He told me not to do that,
now,
but I
suddenly you
want to
might
do
have
it.
just discover that your donut has disappeared. If that is the case, you need to go to Edit, Preferences, and then underneath Viewport, where it's got Subdivision at the very bottom, disable GPU subdivision. That will then make the subdivision perform. At the very least, you need to go to. Some of you might have just discovered that your donut has disappeared. If that is the case, you need to go to Edit, Preferences, and then underneath Viewport, where it's got Subdivision at the very bottom, disable GPU subdivision. That will then make the subdivision perform on your CPU instead of your GPU, which is maybe non-existent or not performing whatever. But disable that, and
I
it
think
should
it
appear.
should be
But
better
if
on
it's already working
GPU
for
for
you,
me.
don't disable it. Keep it going because GPU will be faster. So what
Yeah.
exactly is this doing? Well, it's a lot easier to explain if we look at the shade flat mode, because we're not being tricked by the smooth shading there. If I set this levels viewport to 0, this is our original mesh. This is before we add the subsurface, essentially. When we increase this, you can see that it is adding resolution to our mesh. And the more I increase this viewport levels here, the finer and finer that detail becomes. So to
Okay,
explain,
so
because
this is the
such a
turbo
very,
smooth of
very
Blender.
common, modifier, it's kind of important to understand how it's working. You can see that this is these squares here, these are called faces, by the way, and for each one of these faces here, as I add a level, you can see it's becoming 4 faces, right? And then now if I zoomed in on this one face here, if I do another level, that's now become 4 faces. And then if I zoom in again, it's now become 4 faces. So it's exponentially adding detail. And you might also know that it is smoothing it out as well. Like this jagged edge that we've got here, you can see now becomes smoother. So to quickly visualize that, if I just draw it, like imagine you've got like a 90-degree corner, right? Like this. If you add a subsurf modifier, what it's going to do is it's going to add a point here, right? Because this is the extra detail. It's also going to take that point there and it's going to average it out. It's going to average it out between these points. And it's going to create another one there and another one there. So you go then from having that really hard corner there to having something that looks a lot smoother. So it's going to take a point and it's also going to change it to make it look smoother, generally speaking. So there we go.
I like how he dumbs it down for
this,
like the beginners.
Smoother and smoother. Now, the reason there are 2 options here, you've got levels viewport and levels render. So reminder, this gray area that we operate in is called our viewport. The
No, my microphone.
Version. So as an example,
I apologize.
see if I just turned it off for the viewport, it looks very jagged. But then for my render, if I increase that to 3, if I do my render, which you could go up there, and render image, or remember the hotkey F12, you can see that that donut is now smooth, but I go back and you can see it's jagged. So the viewport, you want to generally keep it lightweight, and then the render time, that's where you want to get a really nice looking pretty image. So you want to often have 2 different levels. In our case though, I don't really think we need to go beyond 1, even for our final pretty image, because this with shade smoothing turned on is good enough, and we're going to be adding more to the scene later on, so we don't want to make it too complex. So this is actually pretty good. Okay, so we have a perfect donut, and that's the problem. It's too perfect. You could spend decades trying to develop a machine in the real world that made a donut this perfect, and you never would. This is so mathematically precise that the eye will always see this as looking fake. So that's actually a problem you learn pretty quickly in 3D, that things that are too perfect just look fake. So you have to spend time making things look misshapen and adding variation there like you see in the real world, because your eye expects to see it. So how do we do that? How do we make this donut look a little more lumpy and interesting? I do that by changing the mesh itself. So this mode that we are in right now, where we can, click on different objects, is called object mode. And I know that because in the top left-hand corner, you can see we are in object mode. But if I click the drop down, you can see I get a number of other options here. And these options, again,
I can't
will
wait to
change
learn how to use the
depending on
sculpting
the object
mode.
you've got
Like,
selected.
that is
If I've got
gonna,
a
like,
lamp
save my life.
light there selected, you can see I've only got object
It's gonna be
mode.
really
A camera,
fun.
I've only got object mode. But a mesh will give you extra options here. So let's enter
I
into
see.
edit mode. Ooh.
Yay!
Right. Now,
He's so
you can
funny.
see our mesh, our
Ooh. What is this? So my question is, why... What did I do? Ah. I'm just gonna stay here for now because that's what I would like to be doing. Or... Ah, I keep pressing Alt middle mouse. Edit mode. How lovely. Ooh.
Oh, sorry, our object has become something that looks weird. It's got a bunch of little points on it with lines and very technical. Well, that's because this is actually what the mesh is made up of. These little points here, which you can click on.
I really
just by
need to like
selecting,
fix my posture
called
when I'm
your
like working.
vertices.
Like, I don't
A
know why.
singular
Like, why am I
term is
sitting like
called
this? What am I
vertex.
doing?
I never say that. I like to just call all of them vertices, regardless of whether it's one or two, just because you always get some comments that go, actually, it's called vertex if it is singular. Anyway, so these are called your vertices, and if you have two of them joined by a line, that is called an edge, and if you have four of them forming a face, then it's called a face.
Bars.
So with these, I can quickly change the shape of my object by using the same hotkeys as before, and if I want to move this, then I would simply tap G. Right, and you can see it's now attached to my cursor, and then if I want to confirm its movement, I just do a single left click, and there it is. Now if I go back into object mode, like that, you can see that my mesh has changed, okay? And by the way, the hotkey for jumping in and out of object and edit mode is just tab. Okay, so you can see it's just toggling between those two modes because it's so common that you want to just quickly change things that it's just easily accessible by that. Now, this is okay, right? But you can see it's like
This is
got like some
cool.
artifacting. It's like it's not the
Like, to be able to do that, in 3DS, you'd need to use like the filtering thing. There's like a little like test tube shape, and then you like press on it when you're like on a specific modifier, and then it takes you down to that level. But with this one, you can just see through them all, which is pretty cool. So the workflow itself is like very different. But I like this. It feels... It makes sense.
greatest lump, right? So how do we make it look a little more natural? Well, I mean, you could, you move one, drag it out, okay, click, and then I move, the next one next to it, right? I'll move that out, and then I'll move this one out a little bit, and then I move this one, and it's like, okay, well now I've got the thing, but it took me like 5 actions. Ridiculous, right? No one wants to do that. No one's got time for that. Thankfully, there is a tool in Blender just for this, and it's called proportional editing, and you can enable it up there in your toolbar. So if you enable that, now if I hit G and I move it out, you will see I get a little ring around my cursor there, and that is now changing the mesh around it.
Nice.
Now, a lot of people in my previous tutorials were like, I don't see what's going on. You have to have something selected first, and then when you hit G, you will see that little circle.
E. What happened to my song? Oh, I think that was the wrong song. Yeah, this is a different one. No, wait. I'm tweaking. No, this is... Yeah, I was doing that's Miro before, man, but it's been a while since I listened to them guys. They drop so many new songs all the time. Karma album is really good. Y'all should listen to it.
Of influence. Okay, now this circle of influence, if I scroll down, sorry, if I scroll up, you can see it's shrinking its circle of influence, and if I scroll down, it is expanding its influence. So it's only going to affect what is in that that ring.
Okay, write it down. Let's draw a little circle. This is called proportional editing. I'm glad that they made this so easy to use, because, like, I won't lie, the 3ds Max version of this is, like, really annoying. Scroll to resize, resize influence.
Ring there, okay? If you are on, if you don't have a mouse with a scroll wheel, you can also change the influence by using page up and page down. And if
That's
you don't
kinda
have
cool.
page up or page down because you're on a Mac keyboard, then what you would have to do is go to key map and then change your page up and page down to something else, just so that you could get around that. But guys, you got to get a mouse. Get a mouse with a scroll wheel. I think they're, I don't know, 50
Get a
cents
mouse.
or just in the nearest landfill somewhere. Get a mouse, because it's going to make your life in 3D a lot easier.
Yes,
Okay, so with this,
can
I
confirm.
can now make quick work of lumpy shapes, okay? So I just drag that out. Okay, I've got a little lumpy shape there. Maybe I go down here and I pull this up just by hitting G, moving it up. Okay, so already this is...
Yay, lumpy shapes. Oh, keep pressing the wrong thing. Ah. Okay. Click. Is it this? Yes, it is this. G. Oh, what am I doing? Ah. Okay. Well, okay, so we click this, we hold G, we click on G. Lumpy donut. Shift to move around. We're doing such a good job, guys. Okay. I keep pressing alt middle mouse. I'm gonna crash out. Let's make this side like a little higher. Yeah. Donna. I still like it when my donuts are somewhat perfect, right? Maybe we can like decenter the middle. Am I making sense? You know what I mean? The middle of the donut is never perfect. That's good, right? Donna. Okay, wait. Is this our actual donut? Can I save this now? What can I name it? Donna. Save. Don't forget to save your work, y'all. Lock in.
This is looking a little more natural, right? Because even if we were making a stylized world for a Pixar movie or something,
I've been here
like
for an
that,
hour. We're
you
30
can't
minutes
have
into
just
the
a
tutorial. Is this gonna take 10 hours?
spherical, round-looking circular donut, because it just, your eye will see it as fake.
Okay,
So very
whatever.
quickly, I'm able to add a little bit
We're
of
making
variation to the
content,
donut,
guys.
just all around it, just a little bit over here, and you can see that I am just changing my circle of influence depending on what size of a lump I want to make. So I just want to make like a little bit that sticks out. I can make a small circle just by scrolling up.
Yes, of
Like
course.
that. And you just want to do that until you get something that looks a little more natural.
I don't understand why my model
inner
just
part
like
as well.
tweaked. Like, what was
You just
that?
drag that in with a smaller circle.
It like
And that's
thinks that
pretty
like the
good. Let's just
shadows
have a
in
look
my
from the
hair
top.
are like my hand or
I
something.
might actually just drag that out and make it a little bit more like that. But there you go. That's pretty good for a donut. It's still kind of simple. It's not too detailed, but it's got just enough variation in it that it's more interesting to look at. Oh, one more thing I forgot to mention. Go back into edit mode with tab. Donuts, when they're sitting in the little vat thing, right, they're only like half submerged, so then they have to be flipped. But it means that the bit that's nearest to the surface is getting less heat. So essentially what I'm saying is the bit that's around the donut, the circumference of it is usually a little bit flatter. So donuts aren't like perfectly round all the way around. They're usually a little bit flatter. So what I want to do is I want to select these vertices along here, and then I want to shrink them. Now I could go around one by one like this, which is actually what I used to do when I was learning Blender
Real.
pre-YouTube days, and there was no tutorials.
I don't know how he
do this
did
if I
that.
wanted to select this. Silly, because there's a function, a tool for that, and it is edge select. So if you hold down Alt on your keyboard and then do a single left click on not the points, but on the edge, like this little line here, you can see it's select.
Ooh. Would this be a ring or a loop? It would be a loop, right? Yes. I think. What did he say? Fuck, it was Alt left click. Alt left click. Edge. Well, it's not an edge loop because like that's like adding edge loops, right? Like, what do I call this? No, it's only 30 minutes into the video. Why am I crashing? This is not good. We gotta lock in. Okay. I'll call it like a loop selection. No, I'll call it like edge loop selection. Sure. It's probably the wrong name for it, but whatever. Edge loop selection. Alt plus left click on an edge. Write that down, write that down. Okay, there.
Not the points, but on the edge, like this little line here, you can see it's selected all the way around. So it's anything that's connected along that line is now selected. So if I want to shrink this, right? What would I do? Well, I mean, yeah, you could like move it around, right? We want to shrink it. We want to change the scale of it. So we would use the hotkey S for scale. So S, and I'm going to scale that in. And I actually don't want proportional editing, so I'm going to turn that off and now scale in.
I need my model to stop tweaking. Alt left click. Yay! Did I turn off this thing? Yeah, right? And then we do S. Oh. I won't lie. This is gonna make my life so much easier. It's insane how much easier my life is going to be. I would like to, wonky ass donut, whatever. We should put like ghost sprinkles on it or something. That would be cute, right? I will put little ghost sprinkles on it.
And just make it a little bit flatter. And there you go. See, it just feels a little bit more natural, doesn't it? It looks a little bit closer to what a donut looks like. And by the way, don't worry if yours doesn't look exactly like this, like your lump is a little bit off. Like some people get a little bit too precious with the tutorial. Like, I gotta match exactly everything I do. Like I'm just working on the fly as well. So just make what you think looks good. Maybe you think this is not misshapen enough and you want to add more. Go for it, because it might actually turn out better than what mine is. Now, before we move to the next part, how to save. How to save. Blender, very, very easy. You just go save as, and you just get one file. It's called .blend. Very literal file extension. Really pushing the limits of what a file extension can be. That's almost a word. Blender. Anyway, .blend, and that's it. And then next time you open it up, it's exactly like it. It's not like ZBrush where you got like 4 or 5 different ways to save a project or an object or a tool or a... Hate ZBrush. Okay. Now, also, finally, I would say, if you need help, because I know if you're stuck and then you leave a YouTube comment,
my glasses
you might
are
not
dirty.
get a reply. If you want immediate help, I've got a Discord, so I'll put the link below. So there's like a little channel in there where you can just ask for specific donut help. So if you're having issues,
pause. I need my glasses cleaner, and I put in my drawer backwards. Maybe one day I'll do like a desk tour or something. That would be cool. Cause like, I won't lie, I'm kind of proud of my setup now. Like before I had like my microphone like hanging from my bed. That was definitely something. It was very entertaining to look at in real life. But I don't live there anymore. So now I have like a table and everything, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna actually like, I had like a shitty membrane keyboard before and everything. I was like, okay, fine, I'll buy an actual keyboard. So I got an actual keyboard, and I got like these green ombre keys. It's really like satisfying. And I got a desk mat to match. My desk is like green plant aesthetic. Yeah. It's very cute. I'm stalling while I'm cleaning my glasses. But yeah, no, maybe one day I'll do a desk tour or something. Oh yeah, and I have like a vertical mouse now. I got a cheap one, not an expensive one. The only thing that's actually expensive is my laptop, because you know, I need that for everything, so. But aside from that, everything else is relatively cheap. My keyboard was like $70. The keycap set was $30. My mouse was like $10 or something. Like 10 or 11. I have a little Cheeto on my desk. I forgot it. I don't know what his actual name is. You know, the little fried tempura tail from like the Sumiko Garashi stuff. Like they were selling like the mini plushies at Miniso, and I was like, I need you on my desk right now. So I have that, and I have like a bunch of like fake plants from like house decorating over the years. I don't like taking care of real plants because I forget and then they die. And then I have a dead plant, and that's not nice to look at, so. Okay, let's continue.
Feel free to jump into that. And also, guys, don't beat yourself up. Like 3D is definitely has like a steep-ish learning curve. So you're in that. A lot of this stuff, home, you get help as well to read things that I've used story that I mentioned before. If you want to add an object, you go shift something that resembles the exact shape we want to create. It's the donut because we want the icing duplicating the object. And if you don't know the hotkey for it, you could just go object and then you'd find it here where it says shift D. So
Write that down. Write that down.
And when you hit that,
that's so much easier than 3DS. Like in 3DS, it's like a whole process. If you want to duplicate an object, there's no hotkey for it. As far as I know. I never learned the hotkey if there was a hotkey. Duplicate. Duplicate. Okay, I have written it down. Let us continue. Ugh. This pen is... like my college gave me like a couple pens and I don't know, like they look nice, but like I'm unsure. Like after like clicking it a couple times, like you have to screw it back into place, and like I don't understand how this works. Like does it like loosen every single time I press it? What are we doing? I'm getting off topic.
you are in a placement state, essentially. Like it's duplicated and it's now saying, where do you want to place it? Now, in our case, and actually often, you don't actually want to change its placement. You want to duplicate it exactly where it was. So you can cancel the movement by hitting escape or right-clicking. Now, when you do that, it looks like it's canceled the duplication, but you can see in your outliner, it has duplicated it. You've got two objects, but it's just in the exact same place, which is what we want. So first things first, we need to name them, or else we could get very confused very easily. So you can name an object by just double clicking it in the outliner and then just typing in the object. The other way you can name.
Donna! Wait, is he in edit mode or object mode? He's still in object mode. Wait, what did I just say? Yeah. Shift D, and then we right click bars. So we're gonna call this one Donna, and we're gonna call this icing. Okay.
Name something. I'll just show you the second way. If you select the Taurus 0.001, that's your icing object. If you're in the 3D view, where your cursor, is over the 3D viewport, if you hit F2, that's another very quick way that you can name something without having to go up to the outliner to find your.
Ooh. Write that down, write that down. That's so useful. I love that. F2. Rename. Selected. Oh shit. Object. Yes. I think this is going to make me love 3D a lot more, just because
So with our icing object selected, let's go into edit mode by hitting a tab.
This is just better.
So we want the icing on the top, which means this bottom half of our mesh here is redundant. Don't need it. So we want to delete it. So if we just dragged over the bottom here, you can see it looks like we've selected the bottom half of our donut, but if you were to move around, you would see, oh, we haven't actually. It's only selected, annoyingly, what is facing the camera. Where there's a mesh, it's not gone through the mesh. A lot of users find this annoying. I agree. Sometimes it seems like that would be the more default one that would make more sense, but anyway, don't want to argue. So if you want to select through a mesh, you can go up to here in your top navigation, toggle X-ray. If you turn that on, it's going to enable you to see.
And just days all around the world, just want to say thank you so much. And you know, you guys are the reason that we exist. So
Cute. Where am I see-through? Here it is. Whoa. Oh my god. Goodbye. Everything? Like, what? Huh. Yeah, that didn't do what I wanted to. Go back.
Through the mesh. And now when I drag over it, you can see that I have selected all through the mesh as I move around it. By the way, you might find it like when you're in this state, it's kind of hard to select, like it's easy to kind of accidentally select what is above it. And depending on what you've got at your end, that might have happened already. So another way to easily just look directly on the side-on of your donut is to just click one of these, like in your gizmo here, instead of just dragging around, just do a single click on either the green one or the red one, the X or the Y. And now we're in that state, you can see it's flattened it. So it's put you in orthographic mode, which actually you can toggle to at any time, just over there.
Oh,
Which just makes it easier to just do a single all the way through the mesh select. All right. Okay. All right. So we want to delete that. So just hit the delete key. You get an extra option here of what do you want to delete: edges, faces. You want the vertices. That's everything. And now we have, if we go back to object mode, and then let's turn off toggle X-ray as well. And you can see it's
but mine didn't do that. Oh my god, guys, our first problem. What the fuck? I went back a bit too much. Haha. Why does it have a dot on it? Oh, okay, I understand what happened before. It all makes sense now. So if we go back to object mode, okay, we're good, we're good. So before I had the donut selected accidentally. But now we're good. Yippee!
it's working. You got half the donut on top of itself, but as you move around, you can see you get some flickering. Now, this flickering happens, and it's actually a very common, it's actually a good warning sign to you as an artist, because it means you've got faces on top of faces, and the 3D software doesn't know which face it wants to render, right? So it's like sometimes saying it's the front face, no, the back face, the front face, and there's no understanding. Sometimes you can actually spot it in TV shows and like VFX or like low budget stuff. You can see something flickering in the background. I'm like, ooh, there it is, Z fighting. That's what it's called, Z fighting, or Z fighting if you're not American. So what we want to do is we want to give thickness to our icing. So we can do that with a solidify modifier. So adding another modifier. Make sure you've got your icing selected, not your donut. And then here where you've got add modifier, we're going to go generate solidify. Okay. Now,
solidify.
made it worse. It's actually added a thickness to our mesh there, but it's actually done it the wrong way. So it's with the normals. Yeah, what is it? It's trying to put the extra bit inside the donut. So we can change that by just changing the offset here in the solidifier settings. Just drag that all the way to 1. Some of you might have actually found that it was correct before, just depending on which way your normals were. If that's the case, keep it at -1, but everyone else keep it at 1. We just want to make sure it's actually outside. Okay. I also, let's just increase the thickness a little bit too. Let's go, yeah, 0.025, that looks pretty good. And great, we've got what looks like a yarmulke on our donut. A perfectly straight edge little hat for our donut.
What is a
let's make this
yarmulke?
look more like
Yarmulke. A hat.
icing, so the edge is wavy
The more you know.
way around. So to do this is where we get into the fancy finger magic, because you're typing lots of keys. Anyway, go into edit mode, and we can see straight away that we can't see the mesh, and that's because the solidify modifier is obstructing our view. So these little boxes here, as I mentioned before, like this is to hide it from viewport, but if you want to just hide it from your edit mode, which is the state that we are in right now, the box next to it is the one that you uncheck, which means in object mode, when you're tabbed in object mode, you can still see it, but edit mode, it's it's temporarily hidden for you. So if I was to select one of these points here and move it down,
Like, what does that mean for exporting?
It's working, but it would be, again, a lot of effort to go round and round and do these one by one. So we want to use that old familiar proportional fall off tool again. So proportional editing on, and now as I move it down, let's just lower the slider way down here.
Turn on the proportional editing. G. Scroll in.
And then let's pull this down. Okay, now we'll find issues. If we move to the side here, we can see the first issue we've discovered is that this is separating from our mesh here. And that's not what icing does. When it dribbles down, it follows the shape of the donut all the way down. So what we want to do is snap, undo it a number of times, snap the vertices to our donut underneath it, right? So for that, we need to turn on snapping up here. Okay, now there are a number of ways to snap in Blender. The default way is increment, which just means the like the grid floor there. Like if you were to just like,
Oh, hell no.
you can see it's just snapping to the grid floor. Not helpful. But we want to snap it to the face. And now with face snapping enabled, if we move this down, we can see let's just look here, that the bottom bit is snapping to the face, but as you might have seen, the top bits, the rest of essentially what is inside of our circle of influence with this proportional editing, that's not being affected. Only the little point that we had selected was affected. So that's not what we want either. Normally that would be enough, but in this particular case, we want to also snap individual elements too. And let's go face project. Now,
What? Interesting.
now snap in what we want either. Normally that would be enough, but in this particular case, we want to also snap individual elements too. And let's go face project. Now, when we pull this down, you should see that these are also no longer clipping through the donut. But still, we have issues. Why is that? Well, it is actually working correctly. We can see these are not going through the mesh. So why does it look like it is? The reason...
Keep pressing Alt. Fuck. Better run right now. Mine looks pretty good.
For that is that there's actually just not enough information here. So if we go side on, you can see, right, like we've got this point here, and then we've got another point down here, and then we've got this long stretch in between, right? So that means that this part of the donut, oh gosh, that goes around like that, is just not, there's nothing to snap it to, essentially. So what we need to do to fix this is just add more geometry. So these little vertices here, we need more of those vertices. So we can do that by actually using the subdivision surface modifier. Because although it is a modifier, you can apply the modifier. And the modifier currently is adding geometry, so let's just apply it. So to apply it, we just click this little drop down here next to the modifier, and then go apply. Now, if we, nothing should have changed from this view because the same information is being displayed. But in edit mode, you should now see exponentially more faces because here,
You lost me.
this little drop down here next to the modifier, and then go apply. Now, if we, nothing should have changed from this view because the same information is being displayed. But in edit mode, you should now see exponentially more faces because here.
I don't understand. Is that like collapsing? Like what? Luxurious like glass glass. I'm up above the world, so I'll be the shining day and night. Counting stars at pure air, pure air. What? I don't understand. Is it because I have it clicked? Like, what am I... What? Okay, I did it. That's kind of weird, but okay. Not what I meant to do.
Where there was, one face before, you can see there's now a lot more, right? 4x, okay, 4x. Okay, so now if we pull down, we should see it is snapping. And if we go into this mode, you can see that it's now conforming to the mesh in a much more snug way, because there's information there for it to use. Now this shading artifact here that we can see, this don't worry about that, we'll fix that in just a moment. But I need to show, because I've shown you like 4 things that we need to enable for this to work. I got to show you one more, because if I pull down and if I scroll up, you'll see something. Okay, if I was to click, we get this horrible problem here, and I've done this tutorial on enough, and enough people have hit this issue that I need to call it out specifically, because it seems to be a big point that a lot of people just don't know where to go from. What's happened is if we use what's it called, the circle of influence for our proportional editing. If that is so high,
you have to turn off the clear thing.
to reach the mesh on the other side of the donut, and then because we've got snapping, it's now projecting that, snapping it to the front, which is creating this something that's a nightmare to fix. I mean, in fact, it's easy just to start from scratch than to try to fix that. So, if we want sorry, there's a lot of noise. To fix this, we need
I thought that was in my
hide
house.
part of the mesh that we don't want to be influenced by our proportional tool, right? So to do that, there is an easy way to do it. We can actually do it very precisely. So if with this middle bit of our donut here, if I just hold down Alt and then do a left click, as I mentioned before, that selects the ring, okay? And we could do that all the way up, but actually there's a little, I don't know if it's an Easter egg. It's kind of a cool tool that not many people know about. Control plus. That will enable the select more tool. And if you use Control plus, Control minus goes the other way.
Fuck, drop my pen. Write that down, write that down. So we got Control plus or minus increase / decrease selection bars.
You can see that it's expanding out. So Control plus will just select the next vertice along a chain, roughly speaking. And you can see we can very quickly select all the parts of the mesh that we don't need, right? Very cool. By the way, if Control plus doesn't work for you because you're on a laptop or something else, select more, less. You can also do it here. Anyways, to hide this part of the mesh, it's H. H for hide. So when you're in this...
Write that down.
It looks as though it's been deleted. It's very... Sometimes you don't know where part of your mesh, and then you forgot that you've got hide turned on. If parts of your mesh are hidden and you want to bring it back, it's Alt-H. So H to hide and then Alt-H to bring it back. Or if you can't remember it for whatever reason, you can also find it. Okay, it's underneath mesh. There we go. Mesh. Reveal hidden or hide selected. Okay, so...
Okay, Alt plus H on hide.
That's the other way. But you can get my keyboard shortcut. It's in the link. It's free. Just use that and then you won't forget a lot of these handy shortcuts. All right, so now finally, after all...
Stop pressing Alt. So it was Alt click, Control plus, no, Sheet. Yeah, it is Control Plus. Did I...
Select more tool, and if you use plus, it's kind of a, could do that all the way up. As I mentioned before, that selects the ring, okay? And we could, we could do that all the way up, but actually there's a little, I don't know if it's an Easter egg. It's kind of a cool tool that not many people know about. Control plus. That will enable the select more tool. And if you use control plus, control minus goes the other way, you can see that it's expanding out. So control.
But I was doing that. Control Alt plus. Alt plus. No. Fuck. Hotkey to grow selection in Blender. Number pad plus. No. Select more. Fuck, it's numpad. Damn. Okay, I'm gonna have to come up with a hotkey for that because what? This is unfair. Wait, I want to read this. Okay, emulate numpad. I'm gonna try and find that because I would like that. Why am I hiding? There you go. Let's try and find it in my settings. Emulate num. Wait, I have. I had a number lock on. I would like to see if that worked. Back. Oh, what was the Alt left click? I was using control, that's wrong. So then control plus. No. How to emulate numpad on Windows. Reddit. What? Okay, maybe this is a problem for later. FN key. Wait, so like control FN plus? No. Oh well. Problem number 1 to solve.
Control plus will just like select the next vertice along a chain, roughly speaking. And you can see we can very quickly select all the parts of the mesh that we don't need, right? Very cool. By the way, if Control plus doesn't work for you because you're on a laptop or something else, select more, less. You can also do it here. Anyways, to hide this part of the mesh, it's H. H for hide. Know what you want, or okay, it's not so you won't forget after 4 different, and drag it down, and to now finally be an artist. What sort of icing do I want? And then I'm just milking it to the Z. Type it in. You have to call side paying, maybe pull, and it's there was it's yeah. If you are stuck, I can't make a so it's a 2 birds 1 solution kind of problem. Fixing issue here is to make use of that. Now our fixing this 90-degree edge here.
Okay. So now we just play with the icing. Bars. We're just moving shit around, making it as icing-y as possible, I guess. Not sure why that was hiding in there, but okay. Okay, whatever. Don't
For this icing, not ideal. Everybody knows that a real icing would create like a rounded edge there, right? So we can fix that just by adding another subsurf modifier, because you might remember I mentioned, like, yes, if you've got 3 vertices, it'll create like another vertex here and another vertex here, but it'll also like round it out. It'll pull this one back, so you end up with a rounded corner. So right here in your modifier stack, we're going to go add modifier, generate subdivision surface. Now, the order of these does matter, okay? You want your solidifier at the top and the sub...
Okay. Stop pressing Alt, god damn it. Yay, we have icing now. I'm unsure if I should like unhide the middle. It was kind of annoying to select it all.
It's important in this way because you want the extrusion to happen first, and then in order to round that edge, it has to happen as a secondary step. So solidify on top, subdivision underneath. Now, whilst we're here and we're looking at the close-up, nice little profile of this edge of this icing, another issue to call out. You can see it's got this this shape that goes around. Yes, so far so good. But then it goes up, and it's like, it'll be better if it went around and then tucked in and touched the edge of it, because that would look more like real liquid wood. So we can solve that by just changing one of the settings in the solidify modifier. It's not one of those things that you would figure out or know where it is. It's just over time you learn where some of these settings are. But essentially here,
what is my microphone doing?
Data, we want to change the edge data to say that before you do the solidify step, add a crease on the inner part right here.
It suddenly peaked for some reason.
1, it now creates a sharpened edge just on that inner part there. So the
3, 2, 1, take off. I think I missed
rest of it is a smoothed edge, but the middle one, there's a crease.
Edge data. Ugh. Actually. Fuck. W.
So it's making a sharp edge there, and it just gives it just a little bit more realism. Just looks a little bit closer to what you would imagine real icing would do. Okay, now for the cool bit. All right, so if you look at reference of donuts, right, yes, you've got these little wavy bits, but where the icing is really liquidy, it'll often break off from this wave here, and it'll create a trail that goes down underneath the donut, right? And it just sort of drips all the way down. Whoops, bumped the microphone. So we can do that, but not the way we were doing it before. If we just took one of these points and then like dragged it all the way down like that, there wouldn't be enough information there, right? You can see you just get this like stretched look, and it doesn't look great, okay? So essentially we need to give it more information, and we couldn't just do it by like adding more and more subdivision surfaces. We need to actually like break this shape here and create a new shape that goes down. So we need to extrude. So if I select this vertex and then the one next to it by holding down Shift, I don't think I mentioned it, but yeah, if you want to select 2 things at once, it's Shift select. Anyways, so if we select 2 vertices like that, we want to extrude it downward by hitting E. So when you tap E, it's similar to G in that you're in a placement.
Write it down. E equals extrude.
state now, saying where do you want to place this. So I'm going to move it down to, yeah, like about there where I want the trail to start.
Where should we be drippy? Here. I like that spot. Shift. Oops. How do you move stuff around again? G? Ah, shit. Cancel. G. This is quite, satisfying.
Stop, and I'm just going to do click, left click, and it's now placed it there. Now, it's hard to see it, but if I just switch to wireframe, you can see what it's doing. So it's created this breakaway shape here, an entirely new face that's completely separate to what we've got there currently. And what this means is if we go to object mode, you can see it's not just like continuing this form here, it's pulled it down, right? Which is exactly what we want. And in fact, I wanted to go even further than that. So I'm going to select those two vertices, and I'm going to pull it down again.
Damn, we get an
I'll do it again.
adventurous.
And the reason I've done this 1, 2, 3 is that this detail here is important so that it conforms to the shape of the donut. Because if there's not enough, you're going to have that clipping issue that I showed you earlier. So that's pretty good. And now we're going to do it again. Originally in my earlier versions of the donut, I only did like one of these, but then I noticed that in the render, the final render, it's often the most interesting part of the donut. So now I'm thinking, yeah, just do it all the way around the donut. Just add the bit that looks cool. Add more of that. So Squidward, and we'll do another one and down. Heavy part screen, and I'll see you there. Make sure you hit subscribe as well if you haven't. A large number of you don't. Self-promotion right there. Thanks, guys. See you in the next part.
He told me to
Congrats.
subscribe, I have
You
to.
didn't give up. You made it to part 4. You clicked on the next part of the video. It was like
I'm
less
dead.
viewers each video as you go down. So you here. Well done. Thumbs up.
Yay.
As you can tell by the title of this video, we're going to learn about sculpting. But first,
Oh, yay. I like sculpting. It's time for me to make my drips now, so, you know, drip time. Get those drips in. Drip. Yippee! This is gonna be a big drip. Yay. This one's kind of too skinny, it's bothering me. Okay, there, whatever. Oh, shit. Why is my, icing so thick? Oh well. Don't really care about how pretty it looks. I just need to learn what I'm supposed to be doing. But they clicked both of them. Okay. Don't forget to save.
First, I should call out, if you have a problem with your mesh now, those problems can be amplified the further you go along. So it helps to do a technical check now to make sure you don't have any problems before we move along.
Yeah,
so
we're
to
good.
look for it, go into edit mode. And first of all, by the way, if you can't see that middle part of your mesh, it's because you remember we temporarily hid it. So you can bring it back by hitting Alt-H, and that will bring back the rest of the mesh. And then we're looking for issues with the mesh, like right here. So this is a really common problem following this tutorial, because when you're projecting parts of the mesh, if it was like side on to the camera, it will project it that way, and then you can have like overlapping parts of the mesh. So that creates this artifact here, which will be exaggerated when we add more detail to it. So
Okay, I don't have any overlap,
turn
it's
on,
fine.
snapping, and I'll keep proportional turned off, and then I'm just going to move this back over here just to move each of these points back. Another very common problem is you might have parts that have separated from your mesh. Now you can quickly fix this if you just like selected the point and then hit G to move it. When you're in that state, it's also snapping it to the mesh. Now you could do that all the way along, like select, tap G, then click, select, tap G, then click. But that's, anybody's got time for that. Let's make Blender do the work for us. So there's a tool that's just designed for this, and it's called the Shrink Wrap Modifier. So
Yay.
over to our trusty modifier stack, we're going to add yet another modifier. So add modifier. It's not under generate, it's under deform, which we haven't accessed before. New modifiers. Ooh, the one we're looking for is Shrink Wrap. And first of all, hasn't done anything because it needs to know what the target is. What is the mesh that we're shrink wrapping our mesh to? So with this little eyedropper tool, you can see when you've clicked it, my cursor.
Deform. Shrink wrap. Target. Oh. I lost my mouse. Donna.
Changed to an eyedropper, and now if I hover over objects, I got the name of it. So I want to click on the object that is the donut, and now it's snapped to the donut and made it worse. Why, Andrew, would you make us do that? Remember, the order of your modifier stack matters. So the reason this happened is because we've done it after the solidify mod. So if it works top to bottom, we want the shrink wrap to happen before any of the extrusion happens. So now that it's there, it's correct. And this is what it looks like before, and this is after. And it's subtle, right? And you'll probably see this across your mesh, like little subtle changes where maybe it just separated off the mesh, which wasn't quite a perfect alignment, but this will just correct that. So great, we don't need this here now. We can just apply it because it was just a once-off operation, and now all our mesh should be perfectly flat.
Oh yeah, so applying is collapsing.
Any other issues going on? Again, make sure you use my Discord.
I think it's interesting that you can't collapse things in edit mode.
Use of the community, so use that and post your problem, and I'm sure people can help out. All right, so we want to do some sculpting. Now, why do we want to sculpt? Well, because if you look at reference photos of donuts with icing on them, you'll see that icing is obviously a liquid, and liquid does weird things. One of the weird things that it does is that it will pool in certain areas. It's not like a uniform amount all the way on it. So the most obvious being like at the end of this trail here, there would be more that would accumulate at the end there. And I think the reason for it is that because it's a viscous fluid, once it runs out of enough fluid, there's not enough to kind of push it forward, but there's enough for it to build up. So you would have like a build up here on each of these ends, but you would also have buildups all along the edge. And you can see it in reference photos. Like here, we've got this like clear, was it like a glaze? And basically the areas there where it looks whiter, that's a thickened area. So we essentially want to replicate that across our donut. So we can't do that currently. Like if you go into edit mode, we don't have any mesh to work with because the extrusion, the thickened part is happening via this modifier. So we need to make the modifier real. So again, we're just going to apply it. Drop down, apply. Now in edit mode, we have that part of the mesh to work with. So
Interesting.
We could, if you wanted to, come in here and like select the points that you want to add, you know, a bulge to, and then
I don't like how thick it is. I like that better. Or maybe a little more. Here. Apply. So it's collapsing, but so is this like a more destructive workflow?
and very carefully come in and tap G, and then, oh, I've got snapping turned on, turn that off. Pull this out, right? And go like that and go, yep, there's a little bulge there, but that's very tedious to first select a point, then tap a key to move it. It's very tedious. So that's really like you just need to use another tool to do the job. So edit mode is one tool, and it's good for like very precise things when you need to get precise things. But for more like organic shapes, more freehand stuff, that's where sculpting comes in. So
Okay.
at the top here, we've just been flipping between object and edit mode, but the one underneath it is sculpt mode. So when we go into that mode, you'll see that we have on the left-hand side all of these tools that appear.
Oh my god.
And
Okay.
I mean, this is
Before we start this, we're gonna take a little BRB. I'm gonna go get some water and stuff. Yeah, 5-minute BRB break. Okay, hello. I have returned. Let's just chill here for a second. I need to drink some liquid. Okay. Lock in. Okay. I'm trying to get comfy. Okay. Lock in. Let's keep going.
Isn't a sculpting like tutorial really. We're just really going to scratch the surface, but they do different
Yay.
things, different sculpting things. Like let's just use the default tool here. Can't really see much happening. Let's just turn up the strength and the size of it. Like it just pulls out that part of it. And even that quick little one stroke, imagine if you had to select each of those points and pull them out one by one. Like that's why this tool is the appropriate tool for this kind of job, right? Because it's very quickly going to enable us to add lots of complex shape. Very cool. So the tool that we're looking for is actually, it's this one, the inflate brush, which is just conveniently the I hotkey, inflate.
There's
if you want to
sculpting
change the size of
hotkeys.
brushes in Blender, I mean, you've got these ones here. You've also got the strength slider here, but there is a hotkey just to change the size of the brush with F. So F to change the size of the brush, and you just pull out with your cursor to make it bigger, and then pull it.
Sculpting hotkeys. I need to make a subsection for this. F. Brush size.
In to reduce it, and then do a single left click to confirm. You can also change the strength with Shift F. So Shift F.
Okay, brush size. Left click to confirm. Shift F.
Out, click, and then Shift.
Shift F. Brush strength. Brush strength. Oh, speaking of brushes, Procreate update, guys. The Procreate update is really cool. Like the new brushes and stuff, they're really satisfying. I updated mine yesterday, and honestly, I'm vibing. So like I want to do like more iPad streams because like I want to do drawing streams. What the helly? I need to finish that one drawing, and then we can move on, because I really would like to finish it. It's been a long time since like I have like done a drawing of Owen, so he deserves a finished drawing, you know? I might not go like too crazy with the rendering, but it will look cool, which is what matters, I guess. It needs to look nice.
Shift F, pull in, click. Anyways, so if I would.
Oh, again, click to confirm. Click to confirm. Now I want to draw. Fuck.
Just to draw on this, you can see that I'm inflating that edge. I can also inflate here, but you very quickly realize, like, look at that. Look at that. What is that? The eye is going to see that. is a pro tip. Your eye is like, if you're going low res, don't go low res for things that are round, because your eye is very quickly going to spot low poly things. Actually, just last night I was playing Spider-Man, the Miles Morales one, and
Oh, that one was
there was
good.
like this coffee cup that was on a table, and then you walk, and it looks fine, like as a background asset, but then part of it, the mission, you had to go up and read something on the table, and you had to get close to this coffee cup, and it was like 8 vertices. It just looked like almost looked like a nut on a wheel of a car, right? Just like that jagged. So anyways, what I'm saying is this is a rounded form, so we need more information. We need more detail to sculpt on. The reason this is jagged, and the reason there's not enough detail here, is that just even though we have a subsurf modifier, a subdivision modifier, it's applying it after we do the sculpt mode. So when you're in sculpt mode, it's still just using your raw mesh here, and then it does this as a secondary step. So if we want to sculpt into this detail, we need to apply this. So I'm going to use more than one. I'm going to use 2 because I want to have even more detail. So importantly, by the way, if you're applying a subdivision modifier, even though you've got 2 levels here, it will always use just the viewport. So your render amount here could be whatever, but when you hit apply, it's just going to apply whatever is in the viewport. So I'm going to go 2 levels and hit apply. Now look at this.
What? Oh. Okay. We'll go 3 since, or I guess we could do 4, sure. Okay, never mind. Jesus. It would be nice if it, like, you know, showed it to me, but whatever. What the fuck?
Ooh. We have 16 times the detail because we had
what was that?
6. Now look at this, times the detail, because we had level 1, which would be 4x, a 4x multiply, and then 4x of 4x, 16. So we have 16 times the vertices to play with. So now when we go into sculpt mode, look at it now. When we sculpt, look at that, so much more room to work with, and much more fun. So now that I'm in that state, I'm going to just do little circles with this brush on each of these points here. And the reason I'm doing like little circles like this is that by default the stroke state is space. You can switch it to airbrush if you want, and then you can just click and hold it there, but I find that to actually be like harder to control, so I just keep it in space mode and then just do like little circles, and then that enables you to just kind of continue adding more pressure as you move your mouse. So a little circle.
Yay. It was F, right? And then you click. And then it was Shift F for the strength. W. That's goofy as hell. How do you make it shrink? I guess like that. You're okay, maybe not like that. Rude. You're not the only one. Yeah. Okay, W. Donut. I would like for this to just be pushed. Yeah. Okay, better. Yay, Dona.
Like that. Ding. Another tool, I guess you call. Is it a brush or is it? I think it's technically they're called brushes. But anyways, another one that you use all the time is grab, and conveniently it's the hotkey G. And what this does is just like pushing clay with your finger. It's like,
Perfect.
It's really cool. And the reason I'm doing this is I'm actually just exaggerating the design. Because that is what makes appealing design. It's exaggerating the addition and subtraction that you see in a shape, even though in the real world you might not see this like tapered thing like that. Because it's got this bulbous end, you want to draw more attention to that kind of globule at the end there. And to do that, yeah, if you just make this a little bit tapered using this tool, it can do that. And we get to learn about a new tool in Blender, which is the whole point of this tutorial. So, yeah. Right, pull this around. Yippee! Pull this around. Just click and drag and click and drag. I can change the shape, size of the brush with F. And you've got more time than me, so maybe make this better than what I managed to that version of it over another bit. Very hard to do because you keep like accidentally clicking off it and then on it, and you get pivots. And then this is so imprecise. And you can accidentally like draw over another bit, and then you look at it side on and you get these like noticeable like divots across the donut. And it's not very it's very hard to do because you keep like accidentally clicking off it and then on it, and you get this like jagged like dig. It's not very appealing, the point is. So let's go back. We can learn about another tool. It's another excuse to learn about another tool, and that tool is called the mask tool. So it's actually in the list here.
The stamp for his channel is the donut.
Hit M for mask, and it's this one. And what this enables you to do is, if you just draw on it, you get this grade shape, right? And then when you're using another tool, like say you switch to the inflate brush now, and if you draw over this, let me just increase this. Yeah, if you drew over this, you can see it's applying an inflation to everything except the area that is dark. And that's how you can create like, you know, a skin lesion on a zombie or something like that. So a mask is very useful in sculpting, used a lot. And we're going to use it in just this case. What we're going to do is mask out just this area along the rim there. And then we're going to apply a constant inflate value to just the area that we've masked. So first use the mask tool. mask, and it doesn't really make sense to use like a half opaque mask, so we're going to set the strength all the way to 1, and then I'll use a brush size about here. So essentially, where do I want the inflation? Like, do I want this much inflation on the rim? No, probably something about here. And then I'm just going to paint a darkened value all the way across it. I just want to make sure that it's, you know, fairly even. Doesn't have to be completely perfect, but fairly even across it. And
the brush stays the same size, which is kind of cool if you ask me. Okay. Okay. We're going around. Okay, I did it.
I obviously do the trail and it's tedious. Here that you might want to sculpt on the other side of your mesh. So you can see I've got this smear here, and that's because somewhere I was painting over here, I went through the mesh and it painted on the other side of the mesh. Over there. Very annoying. So, I can undo it. It's just easier than like repainting that whole thing. And what you want to do with your mask tool is underneath brush, set it to front faces only. And that means when you paint, it should mean that as you draw, it could still happen. Just be
Okay,
careful.
yeah, I was gonna say.
But it should happen less. It shouldn't happen like on the opposite side of the same mesh. Anyways, it should happen less.
Can I just like erase it? I appreciate my previous knowledge helping me. Oops. That's it though, right?
Faces only. And that means when you paint, it should mean that as you draw, it could still happen, just be careful. But it should happen less. It shouldn't happen like on the opposite side of the same mesh. Anyways, it should happen less. By the way, I didn't call it out because it's not essential, but if you do ever want to isolate and only see the selected object, / is the isolation mode. So / on the number pad or the actual normal keyboard will put
/
And just days all around the world.
Wait, why am I listening to the same thing again?
You know, you guys are the reason that we exist. So stay. You make Stray Kids stay.
What was it? / isolate selected. Mesh. I feel like sculpting in Blender is gonna be so fun. It actually like it feels so much more usable. Like it feels like switching from like um well, from ZBrush to Blender, but like I'm trying to like give an explanation. Like this one's not the best, but like switching from like Photoshop to Procreate, or from like Ibis Paint to like Procreate or something like that, right? I don't know. At least in my opinion. I know some people like Ibis Paint. Oh yeah, I was watching Queso play Water Park Simulator. This series is unironically so good. Like I'm genuinely like it's so funny. Like I'm sitting here and I'm like laughing my ass off. And I've been playing a lot of Wuthering Waves, and I've been trying to get 100% on Jinjo, and it's not happening. I have everything except like I'm stuck at 57% on the chests, and I have completed everything else, and I can't find the chests. And I put down the loot mappers, and the chests don't show up. So I think it's like related to like all of like the activities and stuff. But since I already did the first round of all the activities, the chests don't show up. So now I have to find every single stupid activity and complete them all. So yeah, that's gonna take a while. Also, new story part came out yesterday, so let's go. I might actually like start playing it on stream, because I was like, oh, I'll play it on stream, I should play this on stream, and then I was like, oh, but this isn't like a good starting point for the stream, because I was like in the middle of the storyline. At this point I don't think it matters. I'm just gonna start streaming it because whatever. So yeah, like I think whenever I'll play it, I'll just stream it and just move on with my life. Like, it's fine. Oh, is he gonna like tell me?
Pull you in and out of that state. Anyway, so now with the mask brush, with front faces only, I don't know what to take, and we should get, okay, great. Just clean it up. Actually mask out the area so you can't paint on it. We obviously want to only paint on the area that we mask. So we want to invert it by just hitting Control I, same hotkey as Photoshop, etc.
Yay! Control plus I, invert. So is this specifically for invert mask, or is this like invert selection in general? I'll leave it as like mask question mark. And then I'll see what happens.
And then, obviously, if we went to the inflate brush and then we just painted, like, yes, we're only now painting onto that area, but it also doesn't solve our problem of like different values across it. So we
so he's gonna blend the mat
on just these areas. So there is
what?
a tool in the sculpt tools called, where is it? Mesh filter. So I will be honest, it's probably the laziest implementation of a tool in Blender. Like, mesh filters, they're not really well documented. You kind of have to just learn how they work. But unlike all these other brushes here, the way this one works is it's applying a uniform value to the entire mesh. So it doesn't actually matter where you click on the mesh, it's going to apply it. And it's applying what is in the filter types listed here. So if I just click, this is the other thing I have to learn. If I drag to the right, I'm inflating. If I drag to the left, I'm deflating and sort of subtracting the opposite direction. You just kind of have to learn that that's how this specific tool works. My theory is, by the way, to go on a rant, ZBrush's user experience and interface is so arcane, so badly hodgepodged together from ideas over the last 2 decades. They never had any thought in the process. They just lumped it all in there. And Blender's sculpting tools competes with that. So they're like, hey, yeah, the filter tools, Yeah, they're not the easiest to understand, but at least we're not ZBrush. That's my
Bars.
theory. It's my working theory I'm going with. But anyways, point is now that we're in this, you could see we're applying a uniform value to everything. Hooray for us. I might also, I'm going to set the strength of this to 0.1, and that just means that as I move the cursor, it's applying less of a value for the movement, so I can use smaller movements.
Control I. I'm forgetting to speak. I need to. I need to lock in. Lock in. Control I. Okay, so he put down the strength. He lowered the strength. We'll leave it there. And so now we can just drag around, right? Like, is that good enough? Like, I just want like a subtle thing. I don't want anything too crazy.
The other thing though is this is a little like, it almost looks, if we go into object mode, it looks like a tube almost around the edge of it. It's not very nice. It basically, the edge that we've got here is too hard, so we can smooth out that edge by using mask, smooth mask. Okay, now if we use the inflate, just to the right.
Okay, so he was gonna get there. Mask. Smooth mask. Okay. Can I just, smooth it again? Doughnut. Let's go.
I'm just gonna go with that. Let's go object mode and see how that looks. That's pretty good. I might actually go just a little bit more. Just exaggerate it slightly more.
How does he open that
There we go.
window?
Great. So
Is it space? No. Oh my god, I turned on keyframes. What the fuck? I'm not animating. I pressed too hard on the middle mouse button and it's making my fingers hurt. So how does one lock in this? Can I just leave?
yeah, more. It's pretty good. I might actually go just a little bit more. Just exaggerate it slightly more. There we go. Great. So exaggerate it slightly more.
So he just
There we
changed
go.
the mode
Great.
instead
So,
of
yeah, that's roughly
deselecting the mesh. Ah. Yay. Okay, nice. Yippee, Dona.
it. Now there's a little bit of artifacting there because the way the mask works is it's kind of that feathering thing. It's not very exact and it's kind of got some values in between it. So we can smooth that out in sculpt mode by first of all just clearing the mask and then using the smooth tool. By default it's too high, so just turn it down.
clear mask is Alt M. Okay. Write that down. Alt plus M is clear mask. I don't know when I should stop. Hour. Damn, we're an hour and 15 in. And we're at 2 hours and 38 minutes. That's rough. After 4 hours, I'm officially 1 hour into the tutorial. Bars.
And I'm just going to smooth that edge, and that'll just sort of clear up some of this artifacting. It's a little too high. For whatever reason, the smooth tool, which also you can access at any point when you're in sculpt mode just by holding down shift, and it'll temporarily invoke the smooth tool. And it'll
Shift me when I invoke the smooth tool. Okay. Just writing that down. Great.
use the value
My
that is
song.
on the smooth tool. So you'll be in this mode, and then you hold down shift, and it'll actually not use this value, but the value that's on the smooth tool. Again, ZBrush is the competitor, so some things are a little weird here. Anyways, so it's a little too high. Just turn it down, and now we've got a nice value. And I'm just smoothing this out to just clear up some of the artifacting. All the
I don't give a shit, not gonna lie.
way. Ba-doop boop. As we've
Ba-doop
done
boop.
some fairly complex things. Some sculpting. Click here to see the next video, and you do a check over though, because I looked inside, which shouldn't be here, obviously. So
What the hell?
make sure you don't have any hidden meshes that should definitely not be there. You've only got your camera, your donut, your icing, and your light. Okay. Okay, so materials. Let's do some materials. If we jumped into our render mode, that little button that I showed you on the first part that takes you into rendered view mode, you can see we've got a lamp and it's lighting our donut in a very depressing cold gray. So let's give it a material. Down here, the little material tab, and then we're going to hit new. So just like before, the one thing we're going to change is the color. Let's make it a nice pink color, and that looks pretty good. The other value that you typically want to change for a lot of objects is the roughness value. So you can see the further I go all the way to the left hand side, the more it becomes a mirror. So all the way at 0 is basically a mirror, and then all the way to the right is your like most porous object, like a brick or something like that. Basically
Okay, we're done in sculpting mode. Wait, what is he in then? Object mode. Icing. Material. What color should our icing be, chat? Wait, why can't I see it?
something that looks like it doesn't pour is go tab, and then we're going to hit new. So just like before, the one thing we're going to change is the color.
I am confusion. Why isn't it updating it? Hmm. Oh, I have a material here for whatever reason. Oh. Is that the same material? Yes. I don't understand what the issue is. Why does it say material 2? I think the problem started when I touched this. Oh man. I don't understand what the problem is. Well, does it work here? No, it doesn't work either. Why not? Why aren't my materials working? I'm so sick of this fake love. I'm so sorry, but it's fake love. Fake love. Why is my donut, see-through? How do I unsee through it? Let me see if I have a hotkey. Because it shouldn't be this one, so... Is it just the lighting? Oh, it is. I would like to move this, then. Okay, so it was working the whole time. I was just in the wrong window. Okay. So... Let's make our roughness, like... I think it makes sense for the glaze to be like that. Like somewhat shiny, but not too shiny, but it still like reflects. What color should our glaze be? I kind of like this blue. Donna. I think that's a nice color for a donut. Da, 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 da. Okay, there, nice.
Let's make it a nice pink. We want to further I go or basic object. So every reflection. 0.3 material, and let's go with a nice good SSS. We want to put our donut onto a marble countertop. So first of all, we need that countertop as a separate object. So Shift A, and the one we're looking for is again under mesh, and we're going to go with a plane. So a plane is just a square that's literally made up of 4 vertices. It's the simple
Shift A, plane. Why is it so tiny?
simplest object, but the most S, and then click base and moved it up. Well, there's a problem, right? To another object, while still being its own separate object, you parent it. So the way we parent it is, first of all, you select the object that you want to follow the other object, so the child, and then you select the parent. So holding down Shift, I'm going to now click on the donut base, and then to parent, it's Control P. Okay, or again, if it
Okay, so 1, 2, so parent to object.
at any time, you don't know what it is, just hit F3 for search, and then we can just type in parent. Now, by the way, with parent, you get a number of options here. The one you actually want is keep transform. If you just do object, it means if you've ever moved the object like off its base or whatever like that, it'll then like clear its position. So it's actually not the one you want most of the time. So it's keep transform. Now that I've done that, if you've done it in the correct order, you should be able to select the base and then move it, and the icing should go with it. If it does,
Yay. So how do I write this down as a note? Wait, did he say Control P? Yeah, Control P. Okay, so select object. Okay, so select. Okay. Control P equals parent object. Select child first, then select parent, then Control P. Select object, keep transform. Object, keep transform. Okay.
The one you actually want is keep transform. If you just do object, it means if you've ever moved the object like off its base or whatever like that, it'll then like clear its position. So it's actually not the one you want most of the time. So it's keep transform. But for now, this is fine just whilst we work and piece the scene. This color, you can select not just a color by clicking the color, but the little dot next to it, that little yellow thing doesn't look like a button. It is. If you click that, you get this this pop up or pop down in this point, which just gives you a number of options. And the one that we're looking for is image texture. So essentially, it's replacing that import. And it's asking you just get what most people call lights, but for looks like all that separate. Quality of the texture website, tech equipment. Over the years, we've grown it to include. We also have a free texture. This is the one we're going to use. And first of all, although it is free, you do need to sign up for an account. So you can just sign up with Google. That's usually the easiest one. It's a couple of onboarding questions. I would like to actually know how you, are you a professional? Are you a student? That's kind of interesting to me to know that. And then when you get to here, you're just going to say continue with free account. But power through that, and if you click the link in the description, again, this is the marble, and we just want to hit download. And you'll see in the bottom right-hand corner, it's downloading. It is a large size, but this is because it's 8K, and we've got maps at like 16-bit depth to get all of that accurate information there.
Extra. This is like photorealism materials.
Then you just unzip the zip file as you would normally, and then finally, you should see some
it's like a whole texture map.
Resolution images and ones with extra information like roughness. Very, very subtle, but will come through when we do the render.
So can I just like choose like a shitty one that I have already? Let's see what I have from here. What is this? Oh, this is the one. Okay, let's see. Candle, shelf. Is any of this like a flat? Oh wait, where's the... There should be like a floor one, right? Did I fit? Oh wait, no, this is floor. Did I seriously fit the room base? Oh no, wait, I'm looking for the ceiling. Here. Seriously? Interesting.
So back into Blender where we've got that image texture, we're going to click on open. Then navigate to where you unzipped it and then just click on the one that ends with COL in the name and then just hit open. And here it is. Okay, and it looks great up close. Only problem is, of course, look at that reflection. So bland, so fake. And as I mentioned before, fake is the enemy, and you need to squash it by just adding variance. So that's where our roughness map is going to come in. And while we could try to add it in here, this section on the right-hand side, it's actually not where you do most of your material work, because this is kind of like a simplified, dumbed down version. It doesn't really, it gets a little bit complicated when you try and add too many things to it, because there's like too many menus and drop downs and all that kind of stuff. So instead, if you go to your shading tab at the top of the screen there, this will change the layout of the screen to something completely different we haven't seen before. And lots of windows, actually too many. I never actually need this one on the right hand side. So where you just mouse over where you've got the divider and then just right click and then say join areas. And then you want to join it to the left to close it. And then I'll do the same here, because I've never needed those on the left hand side. So I've just got my view at the top here and then this one here. And the reason, by the way, this looks different than what we had before is because this is the material preview, but you can change it back to what we had before by clicking that. So material preview, by the way, it's the same. It's a rendered mode.
Are they using like an HDR map?
Lights, a different light setup. Basically, just an HDRI, which is like a fake kind of light and reflection map, just so that you can quickly preview materials. And really, you could use either or. They both kind of show the material, but yeah, let's use this one. Okay, but the bit that we're looking for is here. So this section here is your node setup, and it's actually an exact duplicate of what we did over here, because this on the right hand side is
what is IOR?
If you're just doing like a quick change, you might want to use this, but over here, this is what's actually happening to it underneath the hood, right? So you can see as I change this on the right hand side, that is also changing there. So they are linked. So the way nodes work is basically a left to right function. So we start over here with our image texture. It goes into our shader, which is the material for this plane. And then it comes out into a material output. And that's what is fed into the final
This is
shader.
too much for my brain right now.
We could do anything, like for example, and this is one of the value of nodes, is between these two nodes.
Like I didn't want to get
node.
into
Like, for
texturing,
example,
I
could
just
hit
wanted
Shift-A
to
add. Again, same hotkey, works everywhere. And then I could add in like a
finish
hue
the modeling
saturation
part.
value node. And then I could change the hue of my marble to look blue, right? Or something else. So that's the power of nodes, and you could just keep going, adding in adjustments and everything you want. So nodes.
So you can literally just like create your own texture.
Because they get all these like, you know, squid-looking lines
in
going
Blender,
everywhere.
like you don't necessarily.
But it's very, very convenient, very customizable. Okay, but we want to add something to our roughness so that we don't have a flat single value roughness, which is what that is currently.
I'm getting tired.
Use that map that we just downloaded. So. One, you could hit Shift-A and then add an image text this way, but actually we could also just drag out from that input there and then just do a release, and it'll now say, what do you want to add in this input? And we could type in image texture, color, and then hit enter. Then here, go to that same place that we unzipped it, and then we're looking for the one with roughness in the name. So roughness in the name, and then hit open. Okay, so this is better, right? You can kind of see we've got some detail there, but it doesn't look quite right. Something is not going right. It's because when you add an image texture, Blender doesn't really know what type of information it is yet, and by default, it's looking at the color information, even though there isn't really color there. So instead, we need to tell Blender this is a special map, and we're just looking at the values, right? So essentially, the color space here, we need to change it from sRGB, where it's a standard photo color, to instead non-color data, or just non-color, I guess they've changed it. But now you can see that looks correct, right? So look at all that. We got scratches, we got smudges. It's infinitely more realistic than what we had previously. So beyond that, though, we could also add in little tiny bumps. Okay, so bumps are in a place you would not expect. There's not a bump value here. It's actually under normal. So normal, you hear that word a lot in 3D. It just basically means the face, which direction is the face pointing, right? So if this is your face of the plane, you're pointing this way, that's the normal, right? But you can change the normal information to kind of tweak it to pretend like there is detail in that, okay? Essentially, we can plug in a specialized map called a normal map. Okay, so we're going to drag out from that normal map and then release, and then image texture. That's the last use thing. That's the one we want. I'm just going to click color, then drop, and then hit open, go to that same folder, and then this is the one, the purple one. It's the weirdest looking map. You always know you're looking at a CG texture map directory because it's the purple one and it's got NRM in the name for normal. And hit open. And just like before, it's not going to be correct because it thinks this is a color image texture, just like for photos. So we need to change it again to non-color data. And now you would think that would fix it, but no, it looks even worse. What did we do? The problem is we need to convert this image texture into something this can read. So we need to put another node in between here.
Bruh.
So the node is found under Shift A for add, then vector, normal map. So click and then just drop it here so it highlights between it and then just drop it. And it will now finally be correct. And if I go full screen with control
That's
space.
interesting.
I mentioned that before, but yeah, control space and then you can go full screen and you can see we've got very subtle little chips and divots across the texture along with those smudges.
I don't
and,
necessarily
it just
care
looks
about
way
this
more
part too
believable because
much.
You don't have to worry about this
Just
part
because I
of your
usually
scene. It's just
put
going
everything
to
into
work,
Unreal.
and you're going to get all that
But
detail
like for
free,
smaller
and,
projects, this is
just makes life a
probably
little bit
useful.
easier. But it is a lot of work. Like what you've just made is a PBR shader, and yeah, it's a lot of work. All those little maps and everything, and having to know which setting is which. But it is a very common thing to learn, so that's why I wanted to include it in here. If I could plug my own website again, though, I will say we did hear you because a lot of people say that. So we actually made an add-on called the Polygon add-on, which I'll actually show you how to install later on because that is actually important for 3D because you use a lot of add-ons. But to plug it very quickly, it actually does all of that without you having to leave Blender. So it'll download the texture for you. There we go. See, it's downloading. It's actually faster through the add-on. And then once you've got it, you just hit apply and then it will do all of that node work for you in the background and it'll just apply it to the mesh for you.
Hot.
So you don't have to do all that all the time. And in fact, most people, I think, if you're working on big scenes, you're using libraries, you're using add-ons like this, so you don't have to do it all manually all the time. But it is important to know the process, so that's why I wanted to show it. But anyways, this was our material, and we are happy with it. Well done. Let's go
very
back to
nice.
the layout tab. And now we're going to do one more thing. So you see our donut base here. Let's just isolate this donut for one moment here by hitting /, which I mentioned previously. Okay, when you're in /, this is isolate mode, which means it's literally turning off everything, including the lamp, which is why it's dark. But if you turn on material preview, then you get this. So this is okay. But if you look at real references of donuts, you'll see that it's typically whiter around the middle. And the reason for that is, as I mentioned before, the way it cooks, right? It's only like half submerged and then it's flipped. And it means that the bits that are closest to the surface are cooked less. So there's usually like a whiter part around the rim. And I mean, really, this is just an excuse to show you another part of Blender, which
Now
is
I'm getting hungry.
texture paint. So at the top there, click the texture paint tab. And again,
This
let's
is
go into isolate mode with our donut there.
genuinely fun.
Why are we not seeing? Okay, there we go.
Like,
So what texture paint tab
I want
does
to like
is it lets you
paint on
paint
textures,
directly
like
onto your mesh. But if we try doing it, you can see nothing's happening, and it does give you a warning at the bottom: missing textures detected. So to paint, you're painting into an image, and the image doesn't exist yet. So we have to give it one. So go to the material tab. And then here where we got base color, we set it up as yellow, but we're actually just going to override it now. So click that little yellow dot again, and then say image texture. So now it's black. Doesn't have an image. So, and instead of clicking open, we're going to click new. So we're going to be creating a brand new image, and let's call this donut base. We could make this higher res if we want, but don't. This is more than enough for a donut base. That's fine. And this will just save us time. The color, this will just fill the it'll fill the image for us with a flat color. So we're just going to go for something pretty similar to what we had before, a nice yellowy color like that. And by the way, make sure you're all the way bright, otherwise your donut is going to be a little bit dark. So yeah, there we go. All right, and then hit OK. And once we've done that, you should, I mean, it should be over there on the left-hand side, but if it doesn't pop up, you can just select it from the drop-down donut base, and there we go. So now we're in this state. Look what I can do. Ooh, fancy. So
does it like auto unwrap
Why is
it?
it
Like,
like
what
that?
is this?
Well, we can paint directly onto our mesh. So to understand this, because it's kind of weird, you can also paint directly over here.
I'm
And
surprised
you might
that
be
we
thinking,
didn't
like,
have
well,
to
how does it
unwrap
know-
anything.
Like, how do I know which part over here is actually going to be painted over onto the
Which is
donut there?
kind of
You might not
bothering me.
care, but it's actually good to understand how it works. So basically, this mesh here, it has to be unwrapped over onto this left-hand side here, because that's the only way to have a 2D texture, 2D flat image be applied to a mesh is to unwrap it in some way. I mean, there's projection. I'm not getting into that. To unwrap it, and unwrapping is essentially like, there is a meme actually that explains it. But if you have like a chocolate, right, that is wrapped
That's
in
cute.
some tinfoil, if you flatten it out, that is essentially UV unwrapping. There are little places in that wrapping where there had to be a cut, right? And then that cut was wrapped around the object. That's what UV unwrapping is. So the reason this works for us is because the cuts are actually already in place for default objects. So this torus is already perfectly
I see.
UV unwrapped. So we
That's
don't have to
why.
do anything. I did want to mention it though, because it's important to understand UV unwrapping. Anyways, so we could actually paint directly on here, as I mentioned. White is a little bit too extreme though. So I'm going to click that and choose a color.
Okay.
First of all, I'm going to select the eyedropper and then not click over here because that's got shading information. I'm going to click on the left-hand side so we get the exact color. And then I'm going to make
Honestly,
it close.
we're just gonna... We're gonna go to here. I think I'm gonna stop here because my brain is a little fried. I'm also tired and I'm getting hungry and I'm staring at a donut and I really want to eat the donut. So yeah. But honestly, hey, I think that we did a good amount of stuff. I can't, an hour 30 and I'm 3 hours into the tutorial. Ah, okay, it's fine. I really wonder, like, why is the rest of this? I guess like the sprinkles and whatever. Yeah, there is a little bit more going on. Okay. Honestly, I think this is a good stopping point. We're definitely, you know, getting somewhere. Donna. Yay. Okay. So let's just... Can I deselect it? Thank you. What should the thumbnail shot be? I like this. Oh god. It's a little deformed. It's okay. That's kind of cute, honestly. I like... Wait, I'm trying to find a good angle for a thumbnail shot. Let's see. Okay. I kind of like that. Yeah. Okay. But yeah. That's gonna be all for today. Thank you so much to everybody who came to the stream. I'm gonna continue this like tomorrow. I don't know. But this will be continued and we will finish the donut and it will look amazing, and you know, I'm excited. So far this is looking exciting, because like this feels so much easier to use than 3DS. It's more like I have some questions about how some of the stuff works, but like it's more like it feels friendlier. You know what I mean? And I'm excited to like learn more about like the sculpting tools and everything like that. So yeah. I'm excited. Let's go. But yeah. That's going to be all for now. Thank you so much to everyone who came to the stream, and I'll see you all later. Bye-bye. Can I wave? Bye-bye.